So right now we're going to talk about the three different types of friction. There is sliding, static, and rolling. All relatively similar in a way. The first, of course, being static. So you have an object at rest. It's not moving. There's no forces acting on it, besides gravity, of course. Now, when I take it and try to slide it, I'm pushing down on it. The desk is pushing back up. It doesn't want to move. And of course, like if I put enough force on it, it will eventually move. Now, the reason that is because this is a very coarse object, but in general, if you have, let's say, this beer can is a bookshelf. When I'm trying to move this bookshelf, when it has an immense amount of weight on it from books and whatever else I may have on it, it doesn't want to move. That is because of static friction. It basically holds two objects together. Eventually, if you can break that bond, you're going to go into the next step, next stage, which is the sliding friction. So again, if I take this sandpaper and I can break that static friction sort of bond, you could say in a way, if I push and push and push, I break it, it's still going to be very hard for me to slide this back and forth. It requires a lot of work, and on top of that, there's a lot of force still being applied downwards and back upwards. If I used one finger, it'd be a lot easier to slide because there's less force going down as well as less force going back up. Now, if I go back to the beer can / bookshelf, once I break that static friction gap and I'm pushing it forward and back and along my kitchen floor, whatever it may be, I'm going to have the same sliding friction, but it's going to be less because there's less surface area. There's also less weight. It depends. If you have a rug, there's going to be a lot more friction than a hardwood floor. So if I was sliding it along some relatively smooth surface as this desk, and I put the sandpaper on top, now there's more surface area, so now it's harder to break that the static friction. And of course, once I actually start moving, it's going to be very hard as well to move because of sliding friction. Relatively easy. The last, of course, involves something called a wheel. This is rolling friction. So with this, it only works on round objects because, of course, bicycles or car tires, whatever it is, circular objects, they roll. No other object can do this really or relatively easily. So with this in mind, notice, well, if you can see as best as you can, that is very smooth here. Of course, so this is going to make it very easy to roll because there's no rolling resistance, there's no rolling friction. If this was a car tire and it had tread on it, I can also simulate the tread by putting adhesive on the tape, so the tape is now inside out. Very similar. If I tried rolling it, if it was staying up, it wouldn't want to roll, and it's not rolling now because of the tape is sticking to it. Same thing in a car. So if I take the tape off, and now it's smooth again here. When you're driving along in a car and the wheel is rotating, the only point of friction is between the bottom here of the wheel and, of course, the road. So when you step on your brakes here, the tire is going to slow down, of course, due to the brakes grabbing it and not really the tire itself slowing. But either way, if you have a lot thicker tread, a lot more grip on the tire or more surface area on the road, it's going to stop a lot sooner than if you have no grip or if you have old tires. That's why they always say to replace your tires, is because of rolling friction. So now if this was a race car tire versus a tire from a 95 Honda Civic, which you think is going to stop sooner if I lock up the brakes? It's of course going to be the race car tire because it has more grip, it has more surface area against the road, versus a Honda tire, which is going to be worn out. It's not going to have as much tread as you can see here, so it's going to want to slide because there's not as much surface area. Rolling friction.